Hello and welcome back to the Moment of Truth podcast. This is the show where I invite you to take a moment to reflect and be proud of how far that we have come as individuals and as a community, but also honest about where we still have to go in our growth as supporters and protectors of Black trans power. Through personal testimony and honest conversation with community leaders, we will recognize the power we all have lurking within ourselves to not only impact our lives in a positive way, but also keep pushing Black trans power forward. Okay, I'm your host, Junior Mintt, and let's get into this gig, okay? Because the episode that I have for you today is an amazing one. So I want to jump into this thing, and you know how we always have to start it off. We have a beautiful, beautiful affirmation, and this time I have a shorter one for you that I want you to repeat multiple times, okay? I want you to repeat this until you remind yourself of how amazing you are and how far you have come in your own journey, and that today, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, tomorrow will be even better, okay? The bar will be raised. So repeat after me. I can let go of old negative beliefs that have stood in the way of my happiness. Because my goal is to grow, my goal is to elevate, and my goal is to be happy. And I grow with each passing day, and I grow into a better version of myself. I really actually felt the power of that message today, because after I recorded it, I literally had to hit pause and then repeat it a few more times to myself internally and then outwardly, mainly because growing is not easy, and growing is a thing you have to set your intention to. Growing is not something that is easy, and if it was, then everybody would do it, okay? Growing is a difficult thing that you have to put your mind to, and so there are definitely days where I have to put my mind to growth, to love, and to kindness, not only to the world, but to myself, okay? And so remember that you should repeat that saying, that entire phrase back to yourself consistently, out loud and in your mind, until you believe those words, because they are true. You do grow. You do grow into a much better and beautiful person each day if you set your mind to it, and I believe that we all can, okay? So, with that monologue at a close and scene, we can move on to the next portion of our show, which is a rose and a thorn. But the rose and the thorn this week is a very, very interesting and fun one. So let us get into it. The reason I'm so excited to share with you what my rose is because, as you all know, this past Sunday, it was a very important holiday. It's a holiday that surrounds love, and I got to spend it and celebrate it with someone who I can actually say is the love of my life, the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, and I'm just so thankful to have them. It is the one and only me. I am so fucking thankful to have me as a person who protects me, who loves me, who is always having my back. And on top of it is someone who I have in the darkest of times. And while for me, Valentine's Day is basically like what I think everyone should be doing for all the people that they love every single day, simply because it is so important to cherish every single person that you love in your life every day and not just on a holiday. But I do understand the cuteness of like, here's a day to like schedule things around, even though, you know, capitalism. I'm not going to have a socialist monologue about, you know, capitalism and holidays and Hallmark and cards and, you know, the whole spiel. But I will say I do appreciate a whole like day that everybody is like spending with someone that they love. I'm not going to be mad at that. And I got to spend it with the person that I love the most on this earth, which is me, because I'm a boss ass bitch. I'm a real ass bitch. And on top of it, I'm a badass bitch. Okay. And so that is really my rose this week. And honestly, when it comes to my thorn, there really isn't any this week, because this week has been a week of coming into the power that is Junior, and yeah, just really being honest with myself while as well being truthful with everyone else. And that is the power of living your truth in your life honestly and kindly and, yeah, as authentically as possible is who you are. And so there isn't really a thorn this week. And also, a part of the roses, I know I mentioned that nail polish last week minted, but just, having the nails on, they're just still just as popping. It's an extra rose this week because just loving my hand with this nail polish. Oh my god, I'm just obsessed right now. But all of these are roses. All of these are beautiful, beautiful things. And I hope that all of you all are checking in with yourselves, with your roses and your thorns each week too, because you'll notice there are some times where I have more roses than thorns and where there are more thorns than roses sometimes. And so just always being in check with yourself is so important because no matter how the roses or the thorns may be, proportioned, the important thing is that you have a grasp of how you felt this week because do not allow yourself to not check in with yourself and go numb and never listen to yourself. You deserve to listen to your inner monologue. If I can riddle off how I'm feeling into a microphone every single week with you all and truly process my life, you can do it alone without having to edit, without having to interview people. You can do the whole spiel of getting to check in with yourself without even having to record it, okay? So take some time out, sit with yourself, and really ask yourself, how are you feeling? And be honest about it. And then from that point, you can then determine how best to shoot for your happiness because you don't know what happiness looks like if you don't know how you feel right now, okay? And that is the perfect way to end that little monologue. And if it seems also like I am rushing right now, I am because I really, really want you to listen to this interview. I have been obsessed and in love with every single episode, but this one just came out in a way that just really struck a chord. It was one where I think that I have come into my interviewing skills as well as it's another Black trans person. So there's just a deep connection inherently. And I think you're going to find a very, very beautiful conversation that has a lot of wisdom, love, and on top of it, lessons. And so, yeah, I'm just so very excited for this episode, and I think you are going to love it as well. And what I want you all to do is make sure that you are sharing and following Paris Lahomie, okay? Because I am so happy that this interview happened, and I'm so happy that we got to sit down and have this conversation because when I tell you, I really feel like I just walked away from someone who I'm like, I need to spend some more time with you because I need to pick this brain. I already knew she was a badass bitch and an amazingly talented performer and as well as someone who I connected with and loved because just one look at her social media and just one opportunity to get to meet her in person and you are enamored and obsessed. And so I'm just so excited for you all to fall as deeply in love with her as I am. She is a fucking amazing person and this interview is truly something to behold. And this is your reminder that this interview actually does have an extended version that is available on my Patreon. So make sure you catch that because you are literally only getting half the interview if you are not catching up on it, okay? So without further ado, without more build up, I am so freaking excited for you to listen to the amazing interview I had with the one and only Paris Lahomie. Hello, you gorgeous, talented siren of a human being. How are you, Paris?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I am blessed, moisturized, and sanitized.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, good thing to
Hmm.
be during upon the replay.
That's the perfect intro. That's the
Yeah.
perfect intro. First of all, have you been outside today?
Today? No, I have not. I actually just woke up an hour ago.
Icon. That's icon status.
I know. I am a sleepy person. I love sleeping in. I love just like falling asleep randomly. Like it's just a thing that I enjoy a lot. Right now during the pandemic, like I have just been sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. And like any little bit of work that I get, I'm like, okay, let's set aside time to work, but then also plan a nap.
Yes, that's the self-care we need, to be real. That's the self-care. Because if there's one thing I try to do, it's make sure I get 7 to 8 hours, even though I'm like, I don't know why. If I sleep past like 8 hours and start getting to 9 or 10, I'll wake up more tired and more irritated.
It's true though too, cause like sometimes you wake up and you're like, I'm so groggy from sleeping forever.
Yes. With this pandemic, how have you been coping with it? How have you been dealing with it? How has everything been?
Things have been a little. I've just also been having a lot of stuff going on with my life during this pandemic. It, like for some reason, like the pandemic came in and like everything else came with it as well. So I've been dealing with a lot of like
Real.
personal issues, but like sitting in this pandemic and like having the pandemic has really helped me like sit down, like deal with a lot of my personal issues, which has been great.
Hmm.
And just like recognize them and be like not like run away from them because I feel like once like when we're running around, like we're running around, we don't think about our issues, we don't think about it. We push them
Ugh,
aside,
period.
especially like living in New York, we're always running around. So
That's exactly it. There's so little time consistently to sit down and think about how you're actually doing. How am I actually feeling? So how have you been processing everything?
um I uh I've been processing. I don't know how else to say. Like being just like being black and trans is hard. It's
Hmm.
you go through things that like other people don't go through, and so like sometimes you feel isolated, but and it also like that also makes it worse with the pandemic because you're not like getting out to see your community all the time.
Mm.
But I will say that I've had like a little like a chosen family, like my pandemic
Yes.
family that like I see, and like we stay in our bubble, so like we make sure that we're not like spreading to everybody.
Yes. Yes. You and Sterling's work together is always a
Oh my
gag.
God, yeah. Sterling and I always, because every day I wake up and Sterling's like, "Are you gonna do a look with me?" And I'm like, "Okay." They're a Leo, so like
Oh,
they're a Leo, so they have like that Leo energy that's always like, "Let's get into it." And I'm just like,
that. Oh my God. Yes, Sterling. Oh my
My
God.
name and I heard Leo, so I ran in.
The most Leo behavior.
literally heard Leo, and they were like, "Attention."
Oh my
I
God.
wanted to say hi because I
Icon.
love you. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye.
I love you. Mwah, mwah,
Mwah.
mwah. Oh my God. That was iconic.
I know
That was
that's how my house is like. It's like a guest appearance every day.
it's like a cameo. Oh my God. You honestly, this could be a whole reality show.
Sure. No, I want. It's 100% a reality TV show. Like we think about like how we should just start a YouTube channel together and just sit there and like paint and like we just sit there and like chat and like read each other the whole entire time. Like Sterling and I never have anything nice to say to each other, but it's all in good love. It's all in fun.
We love it. That's the thing. That's the thing. There's nothing better than a good family reading
Yeah,
session.
exactly. And it's like when you know it's your sister, you know that there's no malintent or anything. It's just like y'all shooting the shit.
Oh, that's how I grew up. If it was just like every single person was just playing the dozens. It was just who could read each other the best, who could read each other the house down. And we and there's nothing better than a funny, accurate read.
And you're like sitting
It's
there, you
just
can't say nothing to it. You're just like, okay.
how long have you and Sterling lived together?
Um, so 2 years, I think. It's like coming up on 2 years. But Sterling and I have been
Wow.
friends for 3 or 4 years now. It was my junior year of
Wow.
college we became friends. And we've
That's
been
beautiful.
yeah. But they started dating one of my best friends in college, and then like we all
Yes.
just like became like a group thing, and like they're still together, so like we all live together, and it's really cute. Yeah, it's like a little family thing, family vibes.
That is so sweet.
I know,
Oh
so
my God.
wholesome.
Before I forget, what is Sterling's Instagram so that way people can follow them?
Sterling's Instagram is at Sterling Tull NYC.
Yes,
We should
word.
also they are going to be teaching a makeup class with Makeup Forever. Yeah, yeah. So
Come on, Makeup
yeah, I
Forever.
know. And like they've been like getting a lot of free products from them so that they can like teach the class. It's really cute because I get to use them.
Yes.
But if and it also the classes so if you take the class it's $125, but you
Mhm.
get a $50 gift card that goes towards Makeup Forever products. Um so
Word.
basically
Word.
it's really only $75 and then you get like free products afterwards too. So it's like really cute.
That's amazing. And you are helping a trans
You are also
person.
helping a trans person get paid and like survive during this pandemic. So
Perfect. Oh, that's a gag.
Yeah, they have
That
the
is a
information
gag.
on their Instagram, so, like, if you go to their Insta, you can find it.
Perfect. Oh my god. And what have you been working on?
I've been actually doing a lot of photo shoots recently. There's
Yes.
this, really, like, incredible trans photographer that Sterling and I have connected
Ooh.
with. Uh,
What's their
her name is
name?
Lex. Uh
Ooh, great
Yeah, yeah,
name.
yeah. I'll have to, because they're the ones who, when I talk to you about the shoot, they're the ones who wants to do that shoot. But they also want to shoot you like
Word.
so badly. Like they were
Oh, for
talking to me the
sure.
other day. We were like, we have to have a photo shoot with Junior. Like, uh,
I would be honored.
yeah,
I would be honored.
yes. But like they're incredible, like
Oh,
so like artistic and like specific, and like their lighting is everything, and like uh
work.
we've just been like collabing and like creating a lot of work with them. I've been, because Sterling always does the makeup, so I'll do like the hair and like the styling of the outfits and everything. Very like
Yes.
editorial, very dreamy, you know.
What's the name of the house?
We don't have a house yet. We don't have a house name yet, you know. It's weird.
Y'all need to get
We
one.
do know we've been, because we've been talking about we also just like have, we do have a house. Archie Cunningham. Yeah,
Yes.
so like they're like, we've been hanging out with them, like they're like a big part of our house. And, like, uh
Wow.
so it's, we have to like find a name, because like all of us are like kind of like super different uh
Mhm.
in a way, but like kind of similar. Like all of us are very much like comedy, but like I do comedy, but like it's very like sexual, like statuesque, like burlesque comedy, you know, over the top that way.
Mhm.
But like like Archie does like stand up, and like Sterling does a lot of like a spoken word mixes and stuff like that. All of
Mhm.
our styles are like very different, but like we somehow just like work so well together, which I think is great.
What college did you go to?
I went to LIU Post.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. A lot of people don't know that school, and whenever I say, they're like, "What's that?"
Are you, are you from Long Island?
No, I'm not from Long Island. I'm from upstate New York.
Oh, that's even more of a gag.
Yeah, yeah.
That's I haven't been to Long Island or upstate New York before. I've only heard stories.
Completely different world. Completely different world. I'm telling you. Like there's so much more, like, it's crazy, because you live in New York City, and you think that like New York itself is like such a like a progressive state, and like you
Mhm.
know, you expect it to, like, you go to other places in New York, and like, you know, you want to think everybody's chill, but like it's not that way. Like they're very they're very ignorant everywhere else except outside of New York City, you know.
Period. When I think about all of the stories, all of the people I know who live there who are like, yeah, no, it's like literally just as bad as you would think it
Oh yeah,
is.
it's literally like the South, but like up in New York, which I feel like makes it worse, because like
Damn.
all these, like, they don't have like hospitality, like Southern hospitality, like they do like in the South. You know, like
Mhm.
at least you go to the South, and like they'll have some hospitality, and if they're racist, they will let you know that they don't like you, so you can avoid them.
The
Here, they're so fake. They're so fake. You never know if like you're gonna walk into a place and they're gonna be racist or not, and it's like crazy.
One of the things that I do love about this South is you know exactly where you do and do not want to be.
Hmm.
New York, there is no way of knowing. It's so insidious and so just like literally I went to college in Emerson in Boston. And
Boston's
it's
so
like,
racist.
oh, completely.
So
Like
racist.
I always tell people the reason I grow my hair out is because it like in Boston I had to travel 45 minutes outside the city to find someone who cut black people's hair. And so
That's
it was like
crazy.
literally like I learned how to cut my own hair. And so literally during my graduation at Emerson, like this was 2017, right before I moved to New York, and literally during the graduation, the commencement speaker said the N word. Like it was like, yeah,
Wait,
mind you,
wait.
the person from our year who was the speaker, like who was chosen as the speaker was a black woman. There was Anita Hill, who was the black woman who stood up against Clarence Thomas and made the accusation in the 90s. Like all Claudia Rankin, Jamaican, amazing black poet, was getting her honorary degree there and was speaking. So like literally all of these amazing black women are standing on the stage, and then this white man comes up to speak because he was the writer of The Lovely Bones or some shit.
Oh, so he
That
gets to
man.
say the N word? What?
Yeah. Yep. Like it was like one of those things where like literally I was sitting next to multiple people who I was friends with who like were black. Mind you, at the school, black people made up less than 1% of the population of the school. So it was like literally the six of us. The six of us were sitting there and I just looked at them and literally we just all looked at each other and it was just like, of course.
Of course he said the N-word. Of course.
Was there anything? Well, I was gonna say, was there any of it at like LIU? But like, of course.
Of course. Well, I also went to school for theater.
Same.
So like I don't you know how the theater schools are. Like they like want to pretend like they're so progressive, but like you know they're racist and you know they're transphobic and you know that they have like a lot of underlying microaggressions.
All of them.
But I just remember we actually with everything that happened with like the Black Lives Matter protests like last June and everything and around that time, all of the black even like all the black graduates and all the black people like from the school our school like made like a little like group of community and like went against like all of our white professors and we were like, listen, y'all need to get your shit together. Y'all need to like stop being microaggressive to all your black students because like you're driving them away and killing all of their passions and making them feel like they won't be able to work in the acting community and in the theater community. And that's how I felt leaving the school. And that's like why I like drifted so much towards drag, like when I left college.
Yes.
But we had our little piece with them. We had our little talk with them and they're like trying, you know, which is cute. They are.
It's cute.
It's cute for them. It's a cute look for them. But they're hiring more black professors, you know, they're trying to like outreach more to like other black communities instead of just like going to Unifieds and like which is like white central. And they're like trying to like go into the communities and be like, hey, come audition for our school. So I hope that they like take this more seriously and continue to take it more seriously.
Emerson was a private one too, and it like, oh my God, it's such an uphill battle.
Yeah, especially because you know these white kids have money and they're gonna flaunt their money the whole entire time.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Damn. Wow. Because it seems like the only wow. Damn. I'm just really thinking about the fact that like some bitches really like damn can really just pay $60,000 a year for school
and take all their parents' money and go to school and like be fine because they're spending all their parents' cash on like nice clothes and like you know all that stuff. Where like we had to like work for all of the shit that we had. Like you had to get scholarships. I was on work study, you know, like working to like.
Oh my God. It was literally work 5 jobs. Literally, it was like 5 jobs at one time, and then also being an RA. It was like it was a time, but honestly, I will say it prepared me because it was just like one of those things where like I was black, trans, and queer in like the most difficult spot possible because it's like all of these people are telling me I paid money for this experience and that this is why I'm working so hard. So it was like, oh my God, I really have so many hoops to jump through just to live, let alone like, you know, actually thrive. That when I think about like this pandemic, even in my like deepest bouts of depression, I still was able to just like create something and still like be connected through that. And I will say I'm just like so proud of myself for using that trauma to like push me forward.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of also you have to remember like some people like when they experience trauma, it's very hard for them, you know, and they like that's very valid, you know, it's very valid.
Completely.
I also feel like it's very, very easy to get stuck in trauma right now. And I feel like having a creative like outsource and like a creative like outlet is like very nice to like be able to just like get your trauma out, you know?
It's so funny. I'm the type of person who will like, I can easily get stuck in one spot, but I've realized that the way that my emotions work and everything is that I really can only process things while I keep going. Like I'm one of those people where if I stop, the car is stalled.
So I need to know now. So like what's your sun and your moon and your rising? I'm sorry.
But I always think mine is so interesting because I'm the youngest of 3 kids and my oldest brother is in June and he's a Gemini.
That's me.
My middle word. Yep. He's June 5th. My other brother is May 19th and he's a Taurus and I'm April 3rd and I'm an Aries. And so we all go in order. But the thing about my chart is my sun is an Aries, my moon is a Taurus, and my rising is a Gemini.
So you also get like a lot of that energy from your brothers and sisters too. So you're probably like getting a lot of that. Yeah.
What about your placements?
So my sun is a Gemini, my rising is an Aquarius, and my moon is in Virgo. Which is very nice because if I had any more
Wow.
air in my chart, I swear to God, I'd be like I already am a hot mess. Like I'm a very chaotic person, but like if I did not have that Virgo moon, like I don't think I'd be able to like I don't think anybody would be friends with me. They'd be like, you're a hot mess.
The Virgo moon of it all. The Virgo moon of it all. What is the most abundant thing in your chart?
It's actually pretty balanced between Gemini, Aquarius, and Virgo. And then I have a
Mm.
splash of a Cancer in my Venus. Uh
Oh, that's some interesting romance.
Really, yeah, I'm a very romantic person. I love being in like I wouldn't say I love being in romances with people, but like I'm very much like I love to flirt. I love to like be romantic with people. I like, just like
Hmm.
giving love to people. And it doesn't even have to be like romantic love, like any kind of love. I love giving love to people.
Yes. Literally, I really, really connect to that because this pandemic, specifically the last like 2 months, has taught me something that is like something that I've always known, but it just like hit it home where I was like, okay, universe, the lesson has been learned. I got it now. And it's showing myself the same attention and respect that I pay to everyone else. And it's one of those things that is so interesting now that I'm really in the mindset of it and consciously working towards it consistently because now it's so interesting that I find how much more light and free I feel now that it feels like yeah, it feels like I'm looking out for myself the way that like the hurt child inside of me was looking for another person to take care
Is
of.
yes, that is very true. Because I've also realized that like I also like my brother's also a Cancer as well, so I get a lot of yeah that Cancer energy from him, and so like I'm also very much like oh I feel I've noticed that Cancers love just
Jack.
like to be like with other people, and they like love like being in love, and like I was like that
Mhm,
for a very
mhm.
long time, and then like and then I also the first time I ever like dated someone like had a big relationship, they were also a Cancer, so I was like yeah, yeah, and so I was like after that I was like I think I need to like figure out who I am and like figure out how I like and love myself a little bit more, because uh I don't know, I felt like I was
Mhm.
giving too much of myself to like other people, and especially to my relationships. I was like throwing so much of my like romantic and like spiritual energy into a relationship that I lost myself. I was losing
Mm,
myself all the time.
mm. I think that brings me to another question for you, which is what have you been pondering about yourself? What have you been discovering about who you are? What questions have you been asking yourself?
That's I've been I literally so since I'm a Gemini, I ask myself questions literally every sec. I wake up in the morning and I go, so what's the meaning of life? um, and I sit here and I read my little books and I write my little journals and I talk and I like think about like what's going on in my life. No, but I've actually made like a during the pandemic. I feel like I've made a huge like step in my like trans identity.
Yes.
It's not like I was holding myself back. It's just like I feel like I got stuck for a second. I got complacent, was like happy with just like who I was as a trans person, and then like I started seeing a lot of people that and also just like moving to Brooklyn. I'm still a little bit like new to like New York and like Brooklyn, so and like seeing the
Mhm,
trans community there, I was like, there are different ways to. I always felt bad because I was like never wanted to be like a cis passing trans person.
mhm,
And I always was like beating myself up about that and being like, why don't I ever want to transition? Like, what is that? Like, why is that a thing? And then I was like, that's just not my journey, and like I need to stop putting
mhm,
myself down for that and just like live my trans identity. So that's been something
mhm,
that I've been working on like pondering. I also just like have been my family's like really really Christian, and so like I've
mhm,
been and like that's something that like I've struggled with my whole entire life. It's just like growing up in the Christian church and like being trans and like being queer and feeling like out of place. And
Mm.
so I've been working a lot on like spirituality and like finding other ways to like, connect with our creator and like the creator or like whoever you want to call them. And building my own relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been getting into like reading tarot and like doing my crystals and like lighting
Yes.
sage and like just like trying to learn about like other religions and cultures and like different spiritual beliefs and like there's this book that I've been reading called yeah,
Ooh.
it's called Queer Magic. Yeah, and it's
Ooh.
basically about it's literally
Okay.
it kind of just gives a history of like queer deities or like trans deities or like like how trans people have like been throughout like other like religions and like belief systems, and it talks about
Mm-hmm.
how like trans people and like non-binary people have like before like Christianity have always been held in such a high regard within like their spiritual system, and they're like usually more like priest or like like spiritual
Yeah.
guidances or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like given me such empowerment, it's helped me like, be okay with like having gender dysphoria, like because gender dysphoria comes
Yes.
up, and sometimes I just have to be like, just remember that this is something that wasn't given, like gender dysphoria is something that's been put onto us by like society, you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
we were once like seen like this is normal, like this is completely normal and fine, and like we've always been seen as that, and then like society has come and told us that it's wrong.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I all of that. I'm so happy to hear. You deserve it. First off, congratulations on opening new chapters and growing and evolving in your transness. Wherever you're at as a trans person is where you are meant to be. I'm so happy and excited for you because as well, trust me when I tell you, me and my family every single Sunday for the first 12, 13 years of my life, you were going down to our Baptist church, you were sitting in the pew, you were listening to it. Actually, I think that was actually up until I was like 15. Like baptism, like all of it. And so I think that when I look back on my journey as a trans person and as a queer person, it's one that the moment I started to have my own connection to the universe, to the divine, and I started to get that connection for myself, was the moment that I kind of felt a liberty to even begin to explore myself because there's something that's ingrained within Black Baptist religious like upbringings that just instills some level of like your identity is like in some exactly. And so it's one of those things where I'm so happy to hear for you because that's an amazing piece of yourself to get into communication with because
it's been
the
really
one
nice.
thing
It's been really helpful,
Mhm,
just
mhm.
like knowing that like I don't have to. It's just like also like being able to like erase like a lot of like traumatic experiences that I've had with Christianity, and like since my
Mhm.
parents have been so religious our whole entire life, it's like they've always used God to like shame me and my transness and stuff like that. So it's like been nice to like have that relationship so I don't feel shame like I did before for being trans.
Mm. I'm so happy for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
so because it's a very specific trauma to have that growing up, and I'm just so happy to hear that you're you're healing that piece of yourself, and you deserve to have that
I'm
healing.
glad
So I'm
that you're
so
doing
happy.
it too, because like I think that a lot of trans people like have gone through what we've both gone through and like have had to like grow up in the especially Black trans people have had to like grow up in the
Mhm.
church and like feel bad about themselves for just existing in their truth, and like they don't deserve
Mm.
that.
Literally, the first interview I did for this podcast was with Klondike, and we literally recorded for 2.5 hours, and it was amazing. And we went into so many different stories about like growing up in the church and these different experiences. And I actually just had to go back home to DC for my grandmother's funeral, which was one of those things where I didn't even realize how much dysphoria I was having just thinking about going because my family had never been together like literally in like 10 years minimum, like all of me, my brothers, my mom, my dad, and some extended family too. Like it was the first time ever we'd all be in the same location. And realizing before going that like, oh wait, I am only having this dysphoria because I am trying to reconcile being myself around people who have a different requirement for who I should be. And that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, there's no need for me to be anxious. I only care about what these people think. So let me stop giving a fuck about what they think.
You know, especially if they're not gonna get with you, and like you're at the point that like we're grown, you know, like I live in New York, you live in New York, we're paying our own bills and stuff like that. You have to live your own life and stop caring about like what your family thinks, because at
Period.
the end of the day you're gonna leave and go back to your place.
If there's any bright spot for you, it's that I got to go home for my grandmother's funeral. I was never in the closet or anything with my family. It's like I was exactly who I was. The Instagram is the Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
they know me. But I never got the chance to ever say it to their face because I really came to terms with my queerness when I was in college. And then by that point, everybody was gone out the house. It was like we were never all in one spot. And so I got to come out to everybody at this funeral, even as like trans and queer and all the things. And everybody was amazing in a way that
Oh, it's
I could
nice.
I could have never foreseen it or foretold it, but it was like one of those moments where like I didn't realize how much of me not speaking my mind came from this portion of myself that had never got the chance to be honest with them face to face. And it has just been a phenomenal growth. And if there's anything I can tell you, it's just standing in your truth feels amazing.
Yeah.
And just make sure you keep doing it just because you're absolutely beautiful, you're absolutely amazing, you're talented, and all the amazing adjectives I could describe you with.
Oh, thank you.
And so, yes, just keep living your truth. And I'm so happy that you're coming into new chapters of your transness.
I think my next chapter is like doing exactly like what you did and like coming out to my family. Like my family knows, and like a lot of like I talk to like some of my family is like very like cool with it, and like I talk to them about it. Like my brother is like super cool with it, and like we talk, and like they're very open to like being educated about it, you know. And I have family that's also just like very open to being educated about it, and like they're not you know, but also like most of my issues comes from my parents, you know. My parents never really have never really been on the same page with that kind of thing. It's very much like they're I will say they're a little bit older in terms of my dad is 60. Both my parents my mom's gonna be this year. Yeah. And so like it's very hard when they've been living their whole entire life believing one thing, and then like all of a sudden they have to like change and like think, and like I know that it's going to take them time. I have had to like cut my relations with them right now just because like they can be a little like overbearing, and like will never like try to like, if I felt like if I didn't cut that, they wouldn't have tried to understand me, you know. It would have been like them constantly seeing me as you know, like my dead name, and like as like the not trans person, like trying to tell me that I'm not trans, or like trying to tell me that it's not a phase. I mean, that it's just the phase. And I'm like, no, this is real. Like, I don't know why you think this. I've been putting on dresses since I was 4 years old. And like, I remember like as a kid, like growing up, one time my friends asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I said I want to be a woman. and not even knowing what that meant, like at all. Like not even knowing that I could be like non-binary or like be trans, just knowing that like I wanted to possess that feminine energy, and like that I had it inside of me, and I just wanted to own it, you know?
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. It's so funny. Our stories are very similar. Very similar. Because my mom had me at 38, and is she going on 62, 60? Because she's going on 63 now. And I'm sending you all the love and all the positive energy on your journey, because I'm so happy to hear that you like cut them off, because it's the type of thing where we're not taught that it is all right for us to put that boundary up with the parent.
Yeah. And like we need to have our own personal boundaries, and like if there's something not serving you in your life, I'm not saying like cut it out completely, but like there are ways to be like to distance yourself and be like, I can love you from a distance. Like period. I love my family, and like you know, we've been through a lot of stuff that's been like kind of like messy and like messed up, but like we've also had a lot of like growing and like sharing experiences, and like I really like hope that they can learn and like it's just like they, for some reason, like they have a hard time like changing, you know, and like not like
Mhm.
wanting to change, but like they have a hard time listening because again, they've lived their lives, so they think that what they know is the Bible. It's like the what they, you know, what they know. And so, and that's what's gotten them through their life. But like we have to also acknowledge that the world is different. That I'm a different person than you, both of you. I and that we all go through different, like we may have gone through similar experiences, but like ultimately at the end of the day, I deal with my experiences different than you do. And like how you cope with your experiences and is not how I cope with my experiences. And yeah, and it's just like
Mm.
I I have like so much respect and love for them, and like I just hope that one day we can like, you know, like put our differences aside and just like learn to like coexist with one another, you know.
Oh, completely, completely. And I love everything that you just said because I think that especially growing up Black, there's a level of like, you're not taught that you have autonomy over yourself.
Mhm,
That like at the end of the day, your parents make the final decision for everything.
mhm.
And it is one of the most empowering things that I got to learn as a Black trans person was the power of I'm not going to allow you to treat me this way,
Yeah,
and that I have the right to say that,
yeah.
and that Mhm.
I was gonna say, especially like as an adult, because like it's gotten to the point where like I have to live my life for myself, and like because like at the end of the day, you can't always like be my parent, you know, and you can't always like I have to pay my own bills. I have to go to work and I have to do my own thing, and like I live so far away from you. It's like you can't have autonomy over my life, and I have none, you know.
Period. And I honestly think that is probably the perfect place for us to leave this conversation. I am so thankful to have sat down with you. You are not only a kind and a deep human being, but also one of my favorites. So thank you for being you. Thank you.
Thank you for being you and also being kind and beautiful and just welcoming and warm and just so easy to talk to, you know? And also just talented as fuck. I remember coming to your show for the first time and just being like, wow, this feels like church. And I'm so happy that I came here.
Thank you. Thank you. I honestly, it's been a very interesting time over these past few months because I feel like I've my voice has grown to something new and I cannot wait to share it. Like
Yeah,
I'm working on some projects that I'm very, very, very excited about that I'm like, I'm so excited to share it. So thank you.
of
Oh,
course. I'm excited.
I love you, Paris. And before we go, what is your Instagram and what is your Venmo and what is your all of everything?
My Instagram is at Bad Girl Perry. That's BADGURLPARI. You can also
Yeah.
follow me on Twitter. I'm a complete and utter hoe on Twitter. So if you wanna see my nudes, or slide into my DMs,
Ooh,
I
they
take
are
those.
slippery, mama.
Yeah, I take those as well. That's Witch Bitch Perry. That's WITCHBITCHPARI.
Yes.
No, and my Venmo is Tip Paris, and that's super easy. I did that
Period.
because I was tired of going to gigs and being like, my Venmo is at BGPR612 hashtag exclamation point at sign, you know?
A license plate number.
Exactly.
I'm obsessed. I love you, Paris.
I
And
love you.
thank you so much for sitting down with me. I'm
Of course.
honored. Oh,
I'm honored. I
oh,
was literally so gagged when you asked me. I was like,
of course. You're a legend.
I'm gonna cry now. Don't say that to me.
You are. Own it. Own it. Now, you can absolutely tell for sure that I was not exaggerating about how amazing that interview was. And I know that you were about to share this. You're about to hit like, you're going to subscribe because after this interview, a lot of cogs started turning. And I think I have an amazing evolution for this podcast that involves some amazing people who were involved with it before. And yeah, if you made it this far in the podcast and you kept listening, that's a cute little like, I guess a preview. Like you got to kind of like a behind the like scene sneak peek to the fact that this interview just really triggered a bunch of really amazing creative ideas in me and get very excited to see how they manifest. And on top of it, I cannot wait to see exactly what Paris Lahomie does with her art and her career. But before we finish this episode out, I do have one final segment that I want to go into. This segment is called A Moment of Clarity. And with this segment, what I want to do is I just want to reinforce a theme or an idea so that way it is something that kind of is a companion to the interview, so that way you can kind of keep chewing on a thought or a belief or an idea afterwards. So that way it's kind of like a palate cleanser. So that way, oh no, well I guess not a palate cleanser because I don't want to cleanse your palate. I guess maybe backwash. Maybe that's what it is, because I wanted to go along with it. Yeah, I guess maybe welcome to the bootleg backwash, okay? Because this is going to be just a real moment to remind you all that it is okay to be sad about something that you thought you had healed from. Because oftentimes we believe that once we have gotten over something, once we have healed something, or once we think we have healed something, that we won't have emotions towards it, or we won't feel sad or happy or necessarily anything. Or society will guilt us into feeling that whatever we do actually feel is just bad. And I want to just remind you all that there is absolutely no bad way to heal, and there is no wrong feeling to feel when you have healed or when you think that you have healed. Because it is so easy for us to consistently sit and judge how we feel and judge ourselves for it and feel like we should be at some better space or we should be handling something better, when the truth of the matter is you are handling it the way that you are handling it. And that's it. That's just the simple fact of it. There is no way you should be handling it. There is no different way that you could have handled this. You handle it the way that you do. And in the next time that you are faced with something similar, we can use the lessons that we have learned from our past to inform the future. And so just remind yourself that your emotions are never wrong or bad or incorrect. It is just something for you to ask some deeper questions to get to the bottom of who you are. Because I know that oftentimes I will not actually ask myself the deeper questions that I need to get to the true clarity and resolution that I need. And I kind of was, taught to shame myself along the way in that process. And so having to not only unlearn that, but as well remind myself that whatever I'm feeling, whatever I feel when I look back on things in my life, whatever I feel is okay. It's who I am. And if I want to work towards feeling something different, I can do that, or I can be fine with it. Either way, what you're feeling is you. And don't let anyone make you feel bad for it, feel judged for it, or anything. Because who you are is exactly who you are meant to be. So just know your Aunt Junior, your friend Junior, your cousin Junior, your neighbor Junior is here to support you, to love you, and let you know that, bitch, we gonna make it through this, okay? We gonna make it through whatever it is in life, and we will be stronger for it. Will it suck going through it? Hell to the fuck yes. I can't tell you it's not gonna hurt, but what I can tell you is we gonna get through it together. We gonna support each other through it, and on top of it, we are going to laugh over some drinks about all of the shit that we have gone through in the future, okay, bitch? So scene, that is the end of that monologue, and that also means it's the end of this episode. I am so honored and thankful for every single one of you who is listening, who is sharing, who is loving it, who is giving me your opinions. I am so thankful for you. And I promise you some really, really freaking amazing new content, okay? I am so excited about it, and I am so excited to share it with you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And on top of it, extra reminder, do not forget that there is an extended interview on my Patreon with Paris Lahomie. It is like, all I can tell you is don't miss it. you will really miss out. It's like the Untucked of this. Really, you are only getting half of the story, okay? Literally only half of it. You're actually only getting half. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to say half. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being supporters. Thank you for showing your love. I am eternally grateful to you all. And on top of it, you will hear from me next week with another amazing guest and another amazing interview. Please be safe. Please take care of each other. And I will see you soon. With all of my love, all of my heart. Junior Mintt, XOXO.